back to Dad Jokes and Discernment, the faith-based podcast where we look at life's daily struggles through a biblical lens. I'm your host, Dustin.
Dun, 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 dun. It's a big one today.
It is a big one today. Who are you?
I'm the associate, Dustin. They should know about that by now.
They ought to know that by now.
Episode 52. It's been a year.
It has been a year.
How did we make it a year?
I don't know, man. I don't know at all.
Crazy.
But that's the topic for the day. We don't have I'm going to lose a lot of listeners when I say this right off the bat. I don't have a lesson plan for today.
It's a recap.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of our favorite ones, what we've learned along the way. Just random, whatever we get into, man.
Yeah, it's a like I said, a big episode for us. We got a couple of big announcements to make.
Yeah, let's get those out.
Yeah, we're going to get those out of the way. First, longtime listeners will recognize Miss Haley and understand that the nonprofit school that she's associated with, they are in the middle of a capital campaign right now. Mm. They are trying to raise $100,000 to find their forever home. The building that they're in now has been borrowed, leased, however you want to call it for them. I don't know the details. I don't have to. All I know is they got told they can't stay there forever. So, and I don't think their goal was ever to stay there forever. You know, it's always, when you're doing something like that, it's always nice to be able to start from scratch and design your building around what you need instead of taking an existing building and trying to remodel it. But we wanted to bring that to light. This week, I will put some of their donation links on our Facebook page. I don't know if I can share them to Instagram, but I can definitely share them through our Facebook page for you guys that are out there in listener land hearing this, that want to venture over there, check them out, see what they're all about. They are a hybrid homeschool. It's kind of like, I guess, a homeschool co-op, except they have a central location they all go to a couple of days a week. And the way that they teach these kids, man, one of our earliest episodes was Miss Haley coming on talking all about the school. But
yeah, go back and listen to that.
Yeah, it's an excellent episode. It gives you a lot of background on what we've got going, or what I'm talking about. But the way they teach these kids over there, they don't just sit them in a chair in a classroom with 30 other kids and talk to them. They meet them on their learning level, and they give them a lot of hands-on stuff, and they teach these kids without the kids realizing they're being taught. And I think that's an incredible method. Yeah. I mean, I think it's very successful. So, like I said, they are trying to raise $100,000. I think this morning she told me they were halfway there.
Yes.
I had asked her to come on and talk about this. She had some prior obligations. It's my fault for not approaching her sooner.
Maybe we can have her on here one week soon.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she could go into detail way more than us. But we have some more news
regarding that, right? Regarding that, yes, absolutely. And this is our personal news that we're going to throw out there. We have been asked by some people who know us locally about T-shirts. And we have discussed this in depth multiple times as a potential way to support the podcast. Yeah. It's been a year. We don't have any sponsors. We don't have any external support for the podcast. The podcast has some fees associated with it. It's nothing unbearable. But, you know, we're not asking for donations or anything like that.
But we want to use these shirts as a way to raise money.
Yeah.
Not for ourselves per se, but
well, it's a two-pronged approach, really. We have one design that I'm going to refer to as the evergreen design. It's going to be available pretty much always, right? And it's just a Dad Jokes and Discernment logo T-shirt. You know, nothing out of the ordinary there.
Can they see pictures of these on our Facebook page?
They will be able to. Yeah, I don't have them up yet at the time of the recording. I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to post those. I don't know if I want to post them today while I'm editing, or if I want to wait until after the episode comes out.
Yeah,
but
say tomorrow for sure.
But I will definitely have those posted in the next couple of days. Like I said, we've got the evergreen. That's the Dad Jokes and Discernment. The money used from those shirts will go to support the podcast. The other one, and this one in my mind, honestly, is more important.
Oh, yeah.
This is a limited time design. I'll describe it the best I can. Basically, it looks like a Yelp review from Jonah talking about the travel conditions to Nineveh. 0 out of 10, would not recommend, right? It's humor, right? It's a story that everybody knows. So as they're walking by you at a glance, they'll be able to, hey, look, this guy's, supports whatever he thought he found. He found a funny shirt, wanted to wear it. He's a Christian, that kind of thing. But more importantly, the funds raised off of those shirts, the limited time availability shirts, we're going to kick that money over to Miss Haley and her school to help them with their capital campaign.
That is our big push.
Yes.
That shirt. We want to do all we can. So it doesn't matter where you're at in the world. We would appreciate your support for this school. They're doing the Lord's work truly, and then they're doing an incredible thing. Back to the Evergreen shirt, our standard Dad Jokes and Discernment shirt. Those funds, those aren't going in our pockets. Those are going to expand what we do with this ministry.
Yeah.
And we haven't completely finished talking about how this is going to be structured. We're always on the same wavelength, though, so I feel comfortable throwing stuff out there. But that could be buying Bibles to hand out to people. That could be getting more equipment that we could use to start doing video per se or whatever.
That's right.
Just to expand and get this further out there. That's where those funds will be going.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get that in the ether. It's all going back into the ministry.
Yeah, it's all everything that comes out of the shirts.
Like you said, the costs associated with this, they're not just a whole lot.
They're not extravagant. It's just some subscription stuff that we do to the audio. And if you go back and you listen to the first 3, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, we've mentioned it in the past, the first 3 episodes, the audio quality was hot garbage.
First one was for sure. It got a lot better on episode 2. You did great.
And then I made the executive decision and changed the editing software programs, and you can really tell the difference between episode 3 and 4 when I made that change. But again, when you're using other people's software, they want you to pay for it. And
I just want to go ahead and say, I don't know if I've ever told you this the last year. For those listening, we very much both take a 50-50 approach kind of to what we talk about. And we just trust each other, and we just come in and we do it, and we let each other know what we're going to talk about, and we each study it and we come in. But as far as editing and managing the social media, that's all the other guy over here, main Dustin. That's why I always call him the number one Dustin, because he runs all this stuff and he handles it, and I just show up like a fool and start running my mouth. So I do appreciate all the work you put in the last year. I
love doing it.
We have seen fruit from that labor, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just take it back and start talking about how this all come about. I think we've mentioned it before in earlier episodes, but again, this is episode 52, right?
This is episode 52.
I mean, we started on July 13th last year, and it's July 12th today. It's crazy that it's already been a year. That don't seem right. It surprises me that we've hung with it and done it every week. Just myself, because I'll get started on doing something, life throws stuff at us, it gets in the way, but the Lord has kept us pushed and has remained faithful to encourage us, and we've made it a year. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Man, I wish I had and I've got the equipment that we use to record this is like some of the most entry-level equipment you can get to do a podcast, but it's capable of doing so much more than we use it for. So that ought to tell you, my skill level when it comes to the editing and all that stuff is not high up in the world of it's. I guess what I'm saying, go back to the old Geico commercials. It's so easy a caveman can do it, right?
How did we get started doing it?
Brother, we got started. There's a story behind it, man. I was traveling for my job. I was on the road. I was in a hotel, and we were messaging back and forth. And I think you had sent me a meme talking about the difficulties of being a Christian, and how your friends hype it up. It's so great to be a Christian. God's good to me all the time. And then you become a Christian, and you start realizing that it's like regular life.
Yeah, you still need a helmet.
You still need a helmet. Yeah, absolutely. That God is with you, but He didn't promise you a rose garden, right? And I think I hit you with a metaphor that Christianity is like the log ride at a theme park.
That's right.
And
we ended up on the phone. I think that's what it was.
Were we on the phone?
We ended up on the phone because I was sitting on my porch, and we just got into this conversation, and it was a good conversation. And I think one of us said, I don't remember who it was, hey, we could just turn this into a podcast and sit around and talk about
basically,
the Lord.
Yeah.
And then bang, boom, that's what we're doing within a month,
Yeah, it will both of us have a similar story of, hey, we have all these great ideas and we never act on them. We never take that steps.
Yeah.
And I had messaged you and sent you a picture of the equipment that I'd ordered. And I said, hey, man, I said, it's on the way. And you're like, holy crap, we're doing this. Like this is a
right
thing.
Around the same time, Jordan was preaching on why sit here till we die?
Yeah.
The lepers.
Mm-hmm.
Why sit here till we die? And that was kind of the attitude we had about it.
Amen.
And yeah.
And so that's kind of why we started, or how we got started. The why behind it is just to share the good news, to share the gospel.
We didn't know what it was going to look like, did we?
No.
We didn't know what we were going to talk about.
We had no idea the name, the brand name Dad Jokes and Discernment was kind of a flash in the pan. We both liked it. It stuck around. I've known shows that go through rebranding. Businesses go through rebranding all the time. We've talked about it a little bit here and there, but we just kind of, this works. This fits us. I mean, this really is. We're just
heavy on the dad jokes as we probably should.
Yeah.
We've missed a few weeks here, I think.
I mean, dad jokes is kind of an umbrella just to show that this is humor and discernment. We're just two dudes with kids.
A lot of people listening, they don't know us personally, but the jokey, having a good time personality, I mean, that's very much us. And I think that's where it's good. Sorry about that. That's where that comes from. We're not going to be on here telling the most.
No, we're not. Yeah,
dad jokes every week. We probably should, because we did there for a while. But
we did, and we the dad joke thing is just to let people know, like, this is a show about theology. This is a show about doctrine. This is a show about Christianity and religion and faith-based issues. But we don't take ourselves super seriously when we get into things. Now, there are some episodes that we did that were very heavy.
We try to. I hope it's clear that we try to leave our opinion out of things and let the Bible speak for itself.
Yeah.
Our opening is where we take, everyday life struggles and look at them through a biblical lens.
That's right.
And we don't often know week to week what we're going to talk about.
No.
Sometimes it's a Saturday night and it's been a long week and we're like,
what are we talking about?
What are we talking about tomorrow? And then we're both up late cramming and
trying to get something hammered out. And then it's and we have had our pastor, Brother Jordan, come on several times. He's been a recurring guest. We enjoy having him on, and we plan on having him on in the future as long as he's willing to be subjected to the ridiculousness. I think he does secretly. I forgot where I was going with this. My train just left the station without me. Yeah. It's uncanny how often, especially on those late night sessions where we're like, hey, what are we talking about? It's kind of a last minute thing. We put it together and then we listen to Brother Jordan's sermon, and then we come in and record the podcast. He has no idea what we're talking about. We obviously don't know what he's talking about.
The amount of times that it has lined up with what he preached on is baffling.
It's insane.
And I've talked about it before. It's the same correlation with my Sunday school lessons a lot of times. Of course, sometimes my Sunday school lessons are spinoffs from what we're doing in here, but oftentimes they're not. And if his sermon doesn't correlate with our podcast, chances are some of it correlates with my Sunday school lesson. It just baffles me, man.
It's amazing that we can be three very different people and yet have some similar wavelength on when it comes to that.
The Lord speaks to us through repetition, man, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because through all that and through the similarities, He's trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
What are we missing here? What do we need Him to show us? Let me ask you this: Did you have any preconceived ideas on what you thought this show would be?
Man, I had two very different thought patterns, and we've landed somewhere in the middle, which is great. Hope for the best, expect the worst, right? Part of me wanted to, like, by episode 5, have a sponsor and just be like on my way to normal people job retirement, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to start this podcast. And next thing you know, we're going to be like, our names are going to be thrown around with people like Wes Huff, right?
I'm nowhere near smart as Wes.
by no stretch of the imagination do I even think my name deserves to be said in the same sentence as his when it comes to the things that he's able to talk about and the way he explains things. But I'm also glad that my name's not being thrown around with some other people, But that was the other part of this is that we would record a couple episodes and then life would get in the way, like you mentioned earlier, and it would interfere. Wives would get mad that we're spending time away from home, and that's. Go ahead.
I don't think. Well, I can't speak for you, but I wondered the same thing, and I don't think that my wife has been mad. I think she was happy when we started recording on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And now forced back into doing it on Sunday afternoon again.
Sunday afternoon is convenient because we're already here at the church where we record at. Saturday morning, though, was really cool because I liked being able just to come up in here, get that knocked out first thing. I had an extra several hours between recording and posting to get everything worked out, and it was a little bit slower pace as far as that goes.
We do it on Saturday morning now, which we'll have to do it about 5:30 in the morning.
I'm good with it. Don't threaten me with a good time, brother.
I was up at 5:45 this morning.
I'm good with that.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll put that in the minutes for next month.
I'm going to give myself the same question. I don't know. I didn't know where it was going to go. Honestly, I was kind of open to it, going wherever God led.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds kind of put in a box, cliche thing to way to be, but man, honestly, that was the mindset I was trying to force myself to have. Be like, I've done so much stuff on my own will and of my own doing and trying to force something to happen myself, and it never works out. And that's part of the conversation that led us into doing the podcast, ironically, that I didn't want this to be of my own doing, of our doing, of us forcing it something. And we've never once, I feel like, had to force something with this show in the whole year we've been doing it. I just wanted God to lead it. We wanted we wanted people to hear the gospel. We wanted to see just one person saved, just one more, and that's kind of been the theme this whole time. But one of the expectations that I was wrong about, and I want to hear yours after this, I didn't think anybody would listen.
Yeah.
And we've grown up in the internet age. We've watched it bloom from dial-up and slow computers to all of a sudden we have these machines in our pocket that are high-def 4K. We can watch movies on them. They do all the stuff. Yeah. They're fast, So we've grew up with this technology, but it's still, being an elder millennial, I'm like, who's going to hear us? Like, seriously, we're going to put it online, but who's going to hear us? And I'm blown away constantly by how many places God has put this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how many listeners we have a week, but when you look at the total of how many countries it has been played in and how many cities it's been played in, I couldn't tell you. I know you have it on your phone somewhere with the analytics. You can talk more about that, but it blows me away, man.
Yeah, the last time I looked at it, it was like 64 cities and like 375-ish.
And that's all God.
64 countries, 375 cities.
I promise that is nothing that me and you, two hillbilly idiots in the middle of nowhere, that's not our doing.
No, not at all.
That's all God. And my constant prayer is that whoever's out there listening takes something away from it and it draws them near to God.
Yeah.
And gets them closer to the Lord, or it gets them to start questioning their life if they don't know the Lord. Like, maybe there's more to this, especially with episodes like last week's episode. But what was an expectation that you think you were wrong about?
I've got to be honest, I'm a little disappointed in our feedback. And that's an expectation that I was wrong about. And that, like, I assumed, we know what assuming does, right? If you spell it wrong. Took for granted, I guess would be a better way to say that, like, there would be a core listener base of people that we attend church with, because once the word got out that we were doing this, people would tune in. I figure, we would have, and I'm just going to throw some random numbers out there to illustrate, but I say we're going to have 100 that get started, and then in a couple of weeks, that's going to drop by half. And then by like week 5 or 6, we've kind of formed that core base of like 10 people that listen to us every week. Right. Mm. And I'm also thinking, these 10 people are people that I'm going to know from church. They're going to give me feedback in person.
And we have had a lot of that.
We have had a lot of that. And I'm very, very grateful and appreciative of that.
But we didn't do it for that either. Let's just be clear about that.
No. The feedback that I have been surprised by is the general feedback that comes off of social media and the internet. And it's been almost none. We've had one guy leave us a YouTube comment from the UK, which was cool. Hope he's still listening. But we don't hardly get any kind of YouTube comments. We do get likes on occasion.
A lot of that has to do with the algorithm and that we're not posting every other day.
We're not super heavily involved. Now, there for a while I was trying to be, and I had set myself a schedule up to where I could be every single day or have something posted there for a while. And I've tried a few different things as far as the social media side of things go to promote us. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And the job I have is pretty demanding, being a parent, being involved in the church, and the results on that. And we've talked about this, I think. I don't know if it's on record or just in our personal lives, the disappointment that followed with not having any kind of a results coming from that.
Oh, that got you.
Yeah. And that got me down for a little bit, but
the main thing,
I also realized that goes back to me trying to force things.
Yeah. We've talked, we started this thing talking about that.
Yeah.
But the main thing still remained the main thing. I think the big encouragement was we were seeing that it was getting played in Iraq and Iran and Israel and Russia and Turkey and Philippines and Vietnam and Brazil and Colombia and
all over the world.
All over these places, man, that we just never would have thought. And I thought, man, that's what it's about. I don't care if they comment or not. Now, I do wish that we could get some correspondence with, like we often talk about, of someone from one of these places reaching out to talk. I just think that would be cool. Not that it's necessary or needed. It'd just be cool to connect with someone. But if people are listening, man, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah. People are listening.
Trust that the Lord's getting through to people. And we may never know this side of heaven how many people it affected.
Right.
So that's
right. And
I think you're right with that assessment. I don't think you're wrong in feeling that way because, completely because, we were both hoping that, we'd get some feedback. And not from a fame perspective, just
because it's the internet and that's what people do. They see a funny video and
honestly,
they leave a dumb comment,
I was ready for the negative feedback.
Right. That's the, I guess I'm surprised that I haven't had any of that.
And I'm not one to sit and argue and get heated with people online behind a keyboard. I just assume okay, you have a point. It's wrong, but you're entitled to that point. I'm not going to argue with you. If you really wanted to know the truth, you'd dive into the Word of God and find it for yourself.
Amen.
So I'm not going to waste my breath on behind a keyboard. You're not going to read it anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that's what I've been waiting for is all the negative stuff.
As part of the under our social media pages, I occasionally do a short video, like 2 to 3 minutes on a topic. And there was one guy back around Christmas where I had talked about something and he got kind of ugly, I guess, and threw up a whole bunch of stuff about out of the book of Jeremiah on how a Christmas tree was pagan, basically, and wrong.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And another person, I was paying attention to it, trying to formulate a good response and an appropriate response without flying off the handle, just a knee-jerk reaction, using that discernment that we always talk about there. And then somebody else kind of like stepped into it. And I was like, you know what? Y'all can have it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time fighting over this. Y'all can have it.
I'm not into vain disputes.
Yeah. I don't
really not.
If there's a theological, if there's something wrong theologically or doctrinally that we're talking about and y'all feel like the need to discuss, then yeah, we can discuss it, but I'm not going to get into arguments over things like Christmas trees. Yeah. I don't worship the tree, man.
I'm not into post-salvation doctrine stuff, argument either. I'm not gonna argue about end time stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you believe whatever. You do you. You do you. I have my convictions on the way that goes.
Right.
Now there's no argument when it comes to salvation. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess there is. Some people think it's by works. There's a lot of people out there still trying to work their way there.
That's right.
But
some people think it's preordained.
What was there a single? And I'm reading your notes, which I find this hilarious. Thank you for sending me your notes. I don't know how I ended up being the one to ask the questions today, but I don't either. I'm doing it, and I'm going with it because you're doing a good job. What episode changed you the most personally, do you think?
Man, I get a lot out of the episodes where we have guests on because I never know what they're going to say, right? And
we do throw our guests like for the loop because we don't really tell them. We tell them the topic, but we don't give them notes.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff they're coming up with on the fly. And I've got to say,
hey, the one with Jeff.
I was getting ready to say the one with Jeff and Tammy that came on as a couple, the marriage episode where he talked about his testimony. Man, I was unprepared for the things that man had to tell us, and I'm so thankful for it.
What a guy. Best.
Because it really gave an insight into who he was as a person and the transformation that occurred in him through Christ and seeing how his marriage was before and after. And,
that was a popular episode too.
It was, yeah. It was a good episode. We got a lot of feedback from that personally and a lot of listeners on that one. And then, I don't know, man. I'm with you. That's got to be one of my favorites that stuck with me the longest. But then there are some that like kind of make you just wonder certain things.
The one on the demonology, on the 2-part
Unmasking Satan,
the 2-part spiritual warfare thing, where we unmasked Satan and talked about demons and how they work and how they work on you, opposite of how God does, right?
Right.
Diving in all that. I really learned a lot from studying for that. It clarified and explained some things. And since we've done that, and since I dove into that study, I've been able to more quickly discern attacks as they come,
Right.
see these attacks for what they are, and therefore more quickly give them over to God instead of trying to handle them myself, because I don't have the power to fight them. God does. The Holy Spirit in me does, but not Dustin, right?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. That baptism episode, this one got me personally, obviously, with Blake, because I'd spent years wondering if I needed to get baptized. And,
right.
And through some of the stuff he was saying that day, I got so convicted, I immediately knew, and I ended up getting rebaptized, which was an awesome turning point in my life. This whole past year, man, there's been so much has happened personally in the last year, and we've heard about a lot of it on the show. We've had kids get saved and baptized, and it's been what a year,
blessing,
Oh, man. And I guess that's the point of this whole episode now. I didn't know it before we started today, but we did that episode on thankfulness. How you shouldn't forget to be thankful.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what today's episode is. It's recapping the last year and just giving it to God and saying thank you, man, because there's been so much good that's happened.
There has been, and it's things that we wouldn't even have. You go through things on your own, right? And you have these experiences, or you start to see these repetitions. And we both kind of agree that God speaks to us through repetition and things of that nature. And being able to come in here once a week and say, hey, but we usually end up talking for like an hour before we ever hit record. Mm-hmm. And it's just recapping our week, talking about things we're going through, things that are on our mind, and being able to share that has really kind of kept it grounded in a sense, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
It's been able to, I hope that rain shower that's coming up doesn't drown us out on the recording. Should edit out.
It is raining really hard. We are upstairs and there's a metal roof. So if you can hear the whooshing sound on the recording, that's what that is. I just checked the radar. It should be gone here in a second. So let's keep plugging. Well, I'm going to talk a little closer to the mic.
Awesome. But yeah, it's been being able to, just the way that we structure these episodes and bounce notes off of each other. And, the fact that 2 years ago, the end of this month was getting back into church for me. I guess if you want to call it a rededication, whatever. Yeah. It was the end of July 2 years ago. So that would have been 24? Mm-hmm. 2024, that we were invited to church and decided to try it out on a Wednesday night, and we haven't left.
Yeah.
We haven't left since then. And all the things that have happened in that time frame have been nothing short of amazing and truthfully blessings.
That's another big thing to point out, man, and thankfulness to God for it. There's been a lot of new folks come in the last several years, and we've been going here, I think it'll be 4 years this year, 3 or 4 years. I don't remember, but we tried it out one Sunday and we ain't left since either. Yeah. And I've seen a bunch of new faces come in just since we've been here.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, what gets me so excited is you've got just a large group becoming larger, but a large group of people who just have a heart to serve the Lord and want to serve Him and please Him and serve others. And a lot of younger couples with, young families. And it's so good to see that sign of a healthy church here. And it's just been so fun. The church is growing. We're talking about building a new building out of necessity. Yeah, it's growing in the right ways.
Not because we want to, because we kind of need to.
Yeah, it's like not, and we don't advertise, hey, we're going to come get a free T-shirt and a hat, come visit us. We're not one of those churches. People are coming because the word is being preached the way the word needs to be preached.
That's right.
And I'm thankful for that. And I'm excited to see what the Lord has in store for us here. I'm excited to see what He has in store for this little rinky-dink podcast that we record, and I'm just excited that He keeps using us, and I pray that He don't stop. What else we got, man?
Man, I don't know. There's just so much,
Was there one episode in particular that just convicted you, worked on you personally?
I think this whole podcast has worked on me and convicted me. You talking about going back to our episode on the lepers and getting busy about the Lord's work and things of that nature. And then we had an episode back in December, just before Christmas, or maybe right after Christmas, in between the holidays. I don't remember which. Brother Jordan was sitting in here with us, and that was the day where, I guess, if you want to chalk that up to one of my favorite episodes, I don't think we had started recording at that point, but there were questions being talked about being called to preach or feeling led to preach and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, as far as episodes that like have affected me personally, that day was probably the most important.
That was a fun one because I felt like you were standing in front of the fire and I come up behind you and kicked you.
Yeah, you absolutely did, man. And honestly, dude, if you hadn't have done that, I don't know that those questions would have been asked. And the look on Jordan's face as soon as those questions came out, he was like, "Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
like this is good stuff, you know."
And you've had the opportunity to preach several times, since then.
I've got, if things go the way that they've been talked about, several more coming up. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that. I'm excited to be learning from Jordan as I go, and very grateful for the congregation itself to listen to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
being I've never wanted to be in the public eye in that regard.
I haven't either. I think that's why I'm so leery of putting this show on video.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got a face for radio.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a young lady yesterday tell me that I needed to narrate audiobooks because whenever she hears me preach and talk, she's like, your voice is just it's just the right. And I'm like, I don't know about how to feel about all that. So I guess tonight when I go home, I'm going to start looking up how to get into narrating audiobooks.
There you go.
Never back down from a challenge, I guess. I guess you can just narrate the Bible, label it the West Kentucky Revised Edition, I guess. I don't know. Ohio Valley Revised. Whatever. Noah looked out on that water and was real mad. He didn't have no fishing pole.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. But yeah, that episode with Jordan was probably one that has changed me or changed the trajectory of the path I thought I was on most fundamentally. But then again, I guess you could also chalk up our very first episode too, because once we got that first episode done, that's when it became real. You know, it's like they say moms become mothers when they find out they're pregnant. Dads become fathers whenever they see their kid for the first time. You know, That's kind of the same concept. You know, we had the equipment. That doesn't mean that we were ever actually going to get together in the same room and actually use it.
Yeah.
Then 8, 9 o'clock that night, I run over to your house and we sat down and messed with it and tried to figure this thing out. And
and we did it. And we just hit record and started talking. We never did anything with that audio. I don't think.
I think it might have been deleted, honestly.
Yeah. That was, I think, just us giving a trial run and
trying to figure things out,
getting used to it. I learned really quick. I did not want headphones on.
Yeah. It's good to hear what's being recorded, hear your feedback, but at the same time, I'm with you. This little recorder that we use shows a volume level, and as long as it's above a certain point, we're good. Everything's worked out so far. We have a lost episode floating around.
We do have a lost episode.
I'd forgotten about that one.
I thought about it the other day.
I'll think about it every time I see it in my computer because it's titled The Lost Episode.
I don't remember what it was about.
On the file. Well,
I think that was one that we recorded. I was like, I don't want to put that one out yet.
That's exactly what happened. We had both had really bad weeks, and we just kind of, our hearts wasn't in the right place when we recorded that episode.
I think I felt like we just were on here complaining.
That's pretty much, that's why we decided not to air it, because it felt like it was overshadowed by something else, and that was our weeks being negative, and we were trying to use that for the right reasons, but it just didn't work out the right way. I
don't remember. I don't know. Maybe we go back and listen to that sometime.
Maybe.
Let's see.
But so we have spent a good portion of this episode talking about the last year one, if you want to call it that.
I don't see us stop it anytime soon.
I don't want to.
If you get called away to go preach at another church somewhere, that might hinder us a little bit.
I'm not going to say never, because I've learned that lesson.
Right.
But I don't anticipate that. I'm not actively putting myself out there in that capacity. Does that make sense?
You don't have to.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're right.
I mean,
I never know who might come in and listen and say, hey, we're going to give this guy a phone call, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not looking for that opportunity. I'll say it that way. I'm not seeking that opportunity. I don't feel prepared for that opportunity.
I will say just the repetitiveness of this being one more thing in the week, every week for the last year, with as busy as we both are between our professional lives, our family lives, our church life, not in that order. But, there's some weeks where I'm like, man, I could take a month off from the show and I'd be all right.
Yeah.
And then I think, why on earth would I ever want to be? And that's an attack, right? We got to recognize that for what it is. It's an attack. So the devil trying to slow us down. You ever notice those mornings you wake up and you're like, man, I don't feel 100% today. I'm not feeling super good. I'd rather just stay home than go to church. And then the devil's nearly got you talked into it. And then you go ahead and you come on into church because that's what you need to do. And then you just get blessed by like the strongest sermon you've heard in a while or something. Yeah. He just speaks right to you. It's like, oh, that's why the devil wanted me to stay home today.
That's right.
I needed that, And I kind of think about the show the same way. It's like if we are like, oh, we're only going to do it once a month.
Yeah. I think when we first started out, that was our plan, was just once a month.
Yeah.
See how it goes and then go from there, maybe twice a month. And we turned into, we just started doing it every week because I think we both knew deep down if we had tried once a month, it would have never lasted.
Yeah. I feel like I would still like to do every other week, but that's exactly my fear is every other week would become once a month, and then once a month it would fizzle out.
Yeah. I'm with you on that 100%. I can think about that and be like, yeah, that'd be all right. We could do that. Maybe do a longer episode every 2 weeks instead of a short episode every week. But then again, I also sit here and try to like, how do people really sit there and listen to Joe Rogan for 3 hours? Like, that's not an attack on Joe Rogan himself, but like, man, can I talk for 3? I can talk for 3 hours as long as I got somebody talking with me, but I don't want to listen to somebody for that long.
No. Let's talk about the next year.
Yeah, looking forward.
One of my goals for the next year, and I'm sure you would agree, I would like to start having more guests on the show.
Yeah.
And typically our guests have been brothers and sisters that go to our church.
Right.
That have a great story that we would love to have on here. And there's more of them, and you're probably going to hear some more of them on this show. I would like to get maybe people outside of our church or maybe other social media personalities who have channels like that one guy you sent me.
Yeah.
See if we can get someone to phone in and do a talk or something,
Yeah, I would. That guy that you're talking about, I don't remember I think his name is Chris DeFlorio, and forgive me if I get that wrong and you're ever listening to this. He's a demonologist, for lack of a better word.
I'll bet he's got an interesting
retired New York EMT and NYPD, and shortly after part of his little blurb that I read was shortly after he had come to Christ, he was working with a woman who she was on a ledge, and he was trying to talk her down. He said, "Ma'am, this is not what God wants for you. God loves you." And she turned around and looked at him, and he said in a completely otherworldly voice, said, "God doesn't even know you're alive."
Yeah. And that was, I bet that guy's got a lot to talk about,
I would.
Now, and that brought up the question between me and you, like, casting out demons, I feel like that was an apostolic gift for the apostles, the ones who saw Jesus, right? Who knew him on earth, even resurrected Jesus,
right?
But anyway, that's a debate for another time.
Yeah.
But you can't argue the fact that demons are real. We covered that whole thing in our episode. Anytime I've ever had to encounter something of that nature, because spiritual warfare is real, my heart and my mind is in the place of, I can't do nothing, but I can definitely read scripture and pray to God and ask him to help this person.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my mindset on it. I'd love to hear what he has to say. Getting him on here would be fun.
It would be fun.
Getting some of the other, I'd love to get some of the real popular. I feel like we've been screaming in the microphone. The rain just died. So
literally, it was heavy and then it stopped.
Sorry.
Yeah, maybe the equalizer.
But there's a lot of social media guys that talk, that have Christian content that I would love to have on here.
Yeah, it's just
Dylan Novak, the celebrity evangelist.
Okay,
I've messaged him. Hadn't heard anything back. I would love. He goes to like all these conventions and meets famous people, and he takes them a personalized Bible and he shares the gospel with them.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, some of them he has met multiple times over the last 10, 15 years, and they know him and they recognize him when he comes up, and they kind of pick back up where they were, whatever. He's got a great ministry. and I follow him, you know, and all of his content. I just love what he does. I'd love to have him on. There's a couple other ones that you see in reels all the time that I would like to have on.
But it's just a matter of us taking the initiative and reaching out to their people and our people, me, you.
Yeah.
We don't really have people on this podcast. It's just us. My producer said that, you know. But yeah, I would love to have some hosts, like I said, more. And it's also good whenever we have brothers and sisters here local to come on, because I feel like we get to know them a little bit better, you know, and they get to see they get the full Monty of what we're doing behind the scenes on the podcast. They get to see how it's done. And everybody's got a great testimony, and that's something I struggle with myself. I don't think I've ever fully shared my entire testimony. I don't know if I ever will, but I just look at mine and I'm like, that's kind of boring compared to some others, you know, and comparisons to Thief of Joy, you know, and like you said, it's good.
I hear some testimonies and I'm like, thank you, God, for being so good to me in my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure some people say that same thing when they hear parts of mine, you know, and parts of yours, but they're, you know, I don't know if we were an encouragement to these guys because they're doing a fantastic job, but we've got another podcast that's been born out of our church since we started this one.
Yeah, the Heart of Biblical Christianity.
Heart of Biblical Christianity, Blake and Drew, and they're doing an amazing job, so I want to lift them up and build them up.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, do y'all care if we start another podcast? We're like, no, why would we care?
Why would we care?
Get after it, boys, you know. And
here,
so,
use our equipment if you want to.
If you haven't listened to the Heart of Biblical Christianity, the HBC podcast, then I highly encourage you to go check out those guys. They're awesome. They go through the Bible verse by verse.
Yeah.
They're doing a little bit different thing than we are, obviously.
They're a little more, I think the word is expository.
Yeah, they're definitely expository teaching.
And it's great
podcast, and they're doing a great job. So,
I think, man, it took them
check them out.
They're on. I think they're close to like episode 20 or somewhere in that ballpark.
I think they're in the 20s. Yep.
The majority of those episodes were spent in like Romans chapter 4.
Hey, that's a big book to get
through. But they're doing an awesome job. I'm proud of them and glad to know both of them. I hope they keep doing well and hope they keep pursuing what they're doing.
But yeah, just go love and support on them and check them out. I think they're on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
And Spotify as well. So go check them out. But what other hopes do we have for the next year? You know, we've hinted around about doing video. We hinted around about maybe doing a video for today's, and we just didn't.
Yeah,
do it.
It didn't happen. We've got. I think part of it is having this hope and dream in our mind. At least for me, of like, hey, if I go to video, like I want it to look like a well-polished production.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to the guys at HBC Podcast. They're recording on an iPhone, I think. And there's nothing wrong with what they're doing.
No, not
They're
at
doing
all.
a great job.
They're doing fantastic. It's just me and you both come from, like, you're a photographer, I'm a videographer.
Right.
And we both want that professional quality.
I just, it's more of looking at.
I like to think that the powers that be behind this new church building are going to build us a room that we can have a podcast room for our show for the HBHBC show.
Yeah, we're going to have
podcast
sound panels on the wall, you know, permanent. Man, that would be fun.
We need to talk to somebody about that. We need a podcast room in the new church.
There we go. Just give us an empty room in the old church. I'm good with it.
In somewhere.
Yeah,
and I doubt they care. We just got to get that figured out.
No. But yeah, I think video, it would help the YouTube side of things out quite a bit if we jumped over and started recording some stuff. I'm not a big fan of seeing myself on film or on camera. Either. You know, I'll be a little self-deprecating here and say, you know, something about 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack, right? But I just hate seeing myself on camera. Like, I just don't like it. I listen to the podcast when I edit it, and then I don't listen to it anymore. We've had ideas about
animating it.
We have.
Running the video through an AI cartoon creator and turning ourselves into cartoons. And doing a video cast that way. And I'm not against that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think it would be fun. I don't know anybody else that does anything like that, so it would be unique. But
yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. You know, there's going to be one pop up now.
Right. We got to find it's a matter of getting the technology to line up with the equipment, to line up with our abilities. You know, I can do a lot on my phone. Don't get me wrong. I do a lot on the laptop I've got now. But coming from a design background, rendering takes a long time to do things the right way, you know. And I would love nothing. I mean, if I don't want to say I would love nothing more, but like if the podcast was self-sustaining and supported me as an income, I would have no problem sitting at home making the video animated ourselves instead of trying to feed it through AI or something like that. But it doesn't, and I don't.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to insinuate or push for a certain direction or anything by saying that. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals.
Yeah.
We have talked about video a lot. I think it would help us in a lot of ways.
Maybe we'll do that this next year.
Maybe, then again, we might end up just sitting outside the city gates. So
if you put it that way.
If you put it that way, right?
We'll get another camera and we'll be up here filming.
And so more hosts, maybe some video, more Jesus.
Oh man, yeah.
Man, I'm excited to look forward to getting into some of the topics that we've talked about. And we've hinted at a couple between ourselves already. We've talked about looking at the Witch of Endor. I think I got that name right. And communicating with the dead. And
I think we need to hit that one soon.
That in and of itself, communicating with the dead is a big topic in and of itself. But that also touches back on grief and loss. And we did an episode on that.
Well, it's people clinging to a hope that doesn't exist.
Right.
They're clinging to a hope that their loved one's watching over them. They're and I'm going to dive too far into it. We'll get into it when we get to the episode. Your hope's in Jesus. Your grandpa's not coming to visit you to say hi.
Yeah.
If you're hearing your grandpa speak, or you're seeing your whatever kind of hoodoo funky thing you got going on, it's not your grandpa, it's a demon.
But I've been, so we've got that kind of thing going on. We've talked about an episode on this big scary word, tithing.
Oh yeah, we need to do that.
I feel like that might be one of our slightly more controversial episodes.
Yeah. And that's something that we've learned the last year. We've hit a lot of controversial topics last year. We hit alcohol. We hit the LGBT thing in the church today.
And we've handled them all, I feel like, with grace.
I hope so. I hope so.
But you and I share a lot of the same opinions on these things.
Yeah.
And
it all comes down to, I don't hate these people.
Yeah.
But I don't want their doctrine and theology to take over my church either, because the Bible says what it says.
I'm waiting for a topic to come up where we disagree. Then we end up basically debating each other with our biblical support.
I haven't found one yet.
I haven't either.
I think the closest thing we've came to disagreeing, and I quickly fell to your side of the fence, was flock cameras.
Oh man, high five to you, buddy.
And so now I'm like, cut them all down.
Like, listen, when those things were first, we're going to side quest here for a second. When those things were first introduced, like I was like, okay, I see the advantage to this.
Well, I thought catching bad guys, catching a kidnapper, doing all that, and I'm for them for that.
With that. But I do have a problem with the fact that some guy sitting in his office clear across the country can access my county's system without any due process, without any notifications to me at all. There's already been documented cases of unfortunately law enforcement officials abusing that power to stalk people, to stalk ex-partners, that kind of thing. You get people being issued.
I didn't mean to get you a
fault. Man, you got me fired up now.
Sorry.
Listen.
But that was one thing that we've
had some disagreements.
We've had
on
a
things,
few, but it's never been anything.
Nothing majorly biblical.
Biblical driven.
So I'm looking forward to that maybe in the next year if we can find a topic.
Maybe we got to try to find. I'm sitting here right now and trying to think of something.
Yeah, my brain has gone way off.
You remember
topic.
what I said a while ago about I don't like vain disputes?
Here we are.
Trying to find one now.
Yeah.
Just to prove a point.
Here you go. I bet Moses' his boat was square. You know that, right?
I doubt that.
All right, then. Well, there you go. We've got one.
It's just not a suitable shape to float and to sail through waves.
He wasn't sailing anything. He didn't have a rudder, brother.
The geometry wasn't right.
Yeah. But definitely more Jesus, more discipleship coming out of this. That discipleship part, that's heavy on our listeners. Y'all got to talk to us so we could talk to y'all. But being able just to keep doing what we've been doing and keep reaching more people. I would love to see, there's like 180 something countries in the world. I'm waiting until our country counter quits climbing up. I would love to see this thing all over the world in every country.
See, I don't know how many countries are in the world.
I forgot.
I think it's over 200.
Is it?
Let me look it up.
Yeah. There's people, countries split and make two countries all the time. It's like the mitochondria. It splits. Anyway.
The powerhouse of the
cell. That's right. But yeah, looking forward, a lot of expectations. More discipleship, more Jesus, more guest hosts, and branching out on those guest hosts, I think is a great idea.
About 195.
195?
There's 193 member states of the United Nations.
Oh, well, never mind. We won't talk about the UN. New World Order. I'm sorry. I got to cover my mouth for a second.
Close to 200.
Yeah.
Anyway, close to 200. So
you mentioned as far as guest hosts go, some lost people that might be willing to come on and talk about things, church hurt, stuff like that from their perspective.
Yeah, one of them, if he's still lost, he's not lost by much. But even if you're lost by,
it doesn't matter if it's an inch or a mile.
An inch or a mile, if you're lost, you're lost. But he is open to it. He's been going to church. I hope he gets to come on. I need to reach out to him about that again.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And another guy that told me he was willing to come on is a friend of mine who just got out of prison, and his testimony is powerful. And I really hope he comes on because I've known him for 20 years. He backslid hard.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting in some trouble. And
it do be like that sometimes.
It shook him and woke him up. And we talked about it on the phone for about 45 minutes the other night. He got out. I didn't know he was out. He got out about a week ago. And I'm really hoping to get him on here soon and hear his testimony and how that happened to someone who was such a strong believer. Because when I first met him, he was working in a factory and he'd come up and he would talk to me about the Lord.
Yeah.
And I was 18 years old. I didn't want to hear about it.
Right.
And then, he was always coming up and he's like, how do you know you're saved, man? How do you know you're saved? Like, I guess I know in my heart. He said, the Bible says your heart's deceitfully evil, man. How do you know? Tell me. And like he was forcing this stuff on me. He was so fired up and he was so gung-ho about the Lord. And so I'm not saying it's a good thing he went through what he went through. He went through some traumatic life stuff. He backslid. He got into an old way of life, got in trouble, went to prison for just 2 or 3 years, and he just got out. And I can't wait to hear his testimony. I can't wait for the world to hear his testimony because a lot of people, they think, I've done too much. I've done too much bad. The Lord, I can't come to the Lord now. Oh, absolutely not. Or maybe people have backslid and then they're embarrassed to come back. No, absolutely not. Don't come to. I can't wait for this guy to come on. So anyway, looking forward to that. And there's other people that we're hoping to come on.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I mean, I still think it'd be awesome. Like, man, what if someone in some random country was like, hey, we like your show. We want to come on and talk to you about what goes on here. And we could record like a Skype session.
Yeah.
And then pull the audio from that for this format and then have the Skype session.
Hey, this thing, I don't know if I have all the components or not, but this little recorder thing that I use will record directly from a phone call.
Oh, yeah, see.
So, I mean, we've got the ability to do that. It's just a matter of
testing and trying that
out. Trying, and making sure everything works.
I would really love to do that. So if you've made it this far in this episode and you live in another country and you'd like to come on the air and hang out and talk to us, we'd love to get to know you and hear what your life is like wherever you're at as a believer. Or maybe even hear your case against Christ, dare I say, and be open up to that conversation too. But anyway, I don't know, man. It's just been a good year.
It's been a great year.
I know we've done a lot of rambling today. It was a time of reflection for us and just how far we've both come mentally and spiritually in the last year.
Yeah.
There's been a lot happen, a lot go on. And I can't wait to see what he has in store for this next year.
Man, over the last year, we've done what? And I'm going to say this collectively, that way it's not attributed to any one specific person here, but we've quit jobs, we've gone on mission trips, we've started new jobs, we've traveled all over the area that we live in for our jobs, we have accepted calls to preach, we've had kids get saved, we've had not only get saved, but also be baptized, we've had spouses get saved and baptized, we've had ups and downs, and we've had hour-long chats. We've had, man, the list goes on, dude.
He has been so faithful and so good this last year, man. All of that's because of him.
I think there was 1 week where we missed an episode, intentionally missed an episode.
And that was just a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah. And even then, I think we turned around and put something out like the next day or something. Mm-hmm. We're at episode 52 on the episode counter, so. We've been doing this for a year. It's been an awesome year. We're looking forward to another awesome year, God willing. Yeah. As the old folks say, Lord willing, the creek don't rise.
That's right.
Buddy, if the creek rise, we got a real bad problem.
Hey, it's rained for, I think, 10 days in a row now.
Yeah. Thankfully, to an extent. It's turning into a detriment at this point, but.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to our farmer friends. I'm sure they've got the irrigation systems stored away. I don't think they need them.
10 inches, like you said, 10 inches of rain. I think is what somebody was telling me the other day.
About the inch-wise, but it's 10 days in a row.
Yeah. No, it's 10 days, but somebody had said something about having like 10 inches of rain. The news weather last storm we had rolled through, they were talking like some places got 5 to 8 inches in a couple hours. We've had a lot compared to the drought we had earlier this year, but
well, I mean, last year we was in a bad drought, so I'm glad to have some water.
Amen.
My tomato plants, on the other hand, are not happy.
Mine are not either. My peppers are going to get mad at me too if I don't do something about that soil drainage.
Can't have it both ways, though.
That's right. Feast or famine. Speaking of feast and famine, that reminds me, as we wrap this episode up here, like I said, we've had a lot of good things happen. We're looking forward to more good things. We want to pray for Venezuela. I know we said Venezuela last week, but we want to keep praying for them and their ongoing recovery. Those couple of earthquakes they had were really bad. We also want to throw out Nigeria, pray for them. There's a lot of, we talk all the time about how Christians are being persecuted in America,
We've
mentioned Nigeria. It pales in comparison to what's going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
There was something, I just saw an update the other day, something like 350 Christians killed in one night by the opposition over there. Not naming names, but anyway, it was Muslims. I really shouldn't make light about that. That's the reality of the situation is they believe one way, another group believes another, and they are literally losing their lives for
it's not the faith, man. Thousands of years now. The two have been at it.
Nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new under the sun.
So
it's going to continue until the Lord comes back and he wins the final battle.
That's right.
So
it is what it is, guys. That's all I got, man. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in while we rambled about the happenings of the last year. I hope it didn't come across as a conceited point of view. Again, all this was God. All the stuff, the good stuff we've talked about the last year, that's not our own doing.
No, not at all.
I think it's important to share what the Lord's been doing in our life.
100%.
I'd love to hear what the Lord's been doing in your life, I think it builds one another up. Iron sharpens iron, right?
That's right.
So anyway, we love and appreciate you guys wherever you're listening from. Thank you. Email us at dadjokesdiscernment@gmail.com. Hit us up on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll see you next time.
Till next time.